Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to talk to you about a game that, from what I've seen and heard so far, looks really cool and could potentially be a pretty big game when it releases. It looks really fun, it looks really cool, so I'm going to talk to you about it today. This one's definitely going to be on my radar, and I'm going to be checking in on all the new updates and information that come out. And that game is what you're seeing right now on your screen. It's called The God Slayer. This game is being developed by a developer and publisher called Pathia Games. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Pathia. And despite what you're seeing on your screen right now, this is not what this development company is used to making at all. What is wild about this to me, and part of why I wanted to bring this to your attention, is that Pathia Games is not really known at all for this darker toned action RPG kind of aesthetic. I mean, if we take a look at some of their previous releases and games that they have made, we see that they're really more known for their cozy life sims and RPGs that are more just casual and base building and crafting mechanics. This includes titles such as the My Time series. So there's My Time at Sandrock, along with other titles like the voxel sandbox RPG Planet Explorers, which is a puzzle adventure game. They've also made a school management sim game called Let's School, as well as a 3v3 sports game called Super Buckyball Tournament. So this is just totally a curveball from the studio, in my opinion. Like I said, they have a history of focusing more on like cozy and charming worlds that are kind of casual and have crafting and building elements. In my opinion, anyway, this is way out of their comfort zone. And so with that, this is a ambitious turn and endeavor for Pathia Games. This is kind of sort of like unknown territory for them. I'm very interested to see if they nail this down and really carve out their own little spot in the action RPG environment. We definitely see a more darker fantasy setting compared to what they are used to making, and maybe a setting that is more, if you will, mainstream in terms of the type of action and combat and RPG gameplay that we see from many other studios making these types of games. I do want to see their take on this style and what new and innovative things we may or may not see. So, to dive into some of the details, as described on their Steam page, this is, quote, an Eastern inspired steampunk RPG. It's set in a steampunk metropolis where gods, known as celestials, they're calling them, reign with a divine fist. In this open world RPG, you are what they are calling an Elemancer. I think I'm saying that right, Elemancer, which is what they're saying is one who refuses to bow. So we kind of got like that underdog vibe going on, which I'm always up for. In my opinion, you can never really go wrong with a good underdog story if it's done right. Now, I'm not hyping this game up just blindly and without reason, but if I'm going to be honest, what I've seen so far, they've kind of got me just a wee little bit. After watching this gameplay trailer, I'm actually really impressed. Like I said before, a lot of it comes from the fact that they are not used to making this type of game. And for their first kind of reveal of this new one to be this visually impressive to me is pretty cool. We're going to dive into some of what we see here to give you an idea of what kind of game this is going to be. But man, what I'm seeing is pretty cool so far. So let's jump into it. And talking more about the setting of the game, I'm loving the steampunk vibe that we are seeing here. We see elements of a steampunk inspired world, though not overly steampunk, I think. Like, not everything is bronze machines in the world and industrial. The whole world, from what I can gather, is largely like Eastern and sort of got that like Japanese warrior aesthetic or vibe going on. They also have, from what I see, like a very interesting character design that I'm not gonna lie, kind of reminds me of Dragon Ball Z for some reason. and kind of reminds me of like other anime inspired art styles, which is very popular right now, honestly. We're seeing a lot of combat and meaningful but short dialogue. We're seeing very heavy fantasy themed characters and world designs and very cool looking gods or celestials that they're calling them who have a very obviously more powerful look to them than the main character that you're playing. I think this is kind of hinting more at that underdog story and feel where you're kind of constantly going up against people that are more powerful than you. We're also seeing pretty cool looking bosses and giants who look very overbearing and almost impossible compared to the main character. I can tell there's going to be a ton of kind of like uphill battle vibes going on with these boss fights and as you progress through the game. It sounds like you're going to kind of start minimal and kind of fight your way through these enemies and progress to more powerful beings and overcome them. Like I said, I think the idea of an underdog story like this fits the idea of a fantasy RPG really well because as you all know, in an RPG game, you level up the character, improve their abilities and skills, and customize their skill sets and things like that, and kind of make them your own. So obviously, I think we're going to get that kind of dynamic as we progress through the game and basically upgrade your character and become more powerful or more godlike like the characters you're trying to defeat. And in talking about the main character, you play as a character called Chang, Cheng. I'm probably butchering the name, I apologize. And Chang is what they're calling an Elemancer, which is a human who has learned harness what they call Qi or life energy. You harness this energy and learn it and mold it into a powerful elemental magic. And of the elements, we kind of see, your typical water, fire, ice, that kind of thing. To give you a little story background, Cheng's family was killed in an event from what I read online called the Godfall. With his family dead, this is giving him kind of like a personal vendetta against the Celestials and provides a motive to fight for humanity's freedom. So the kind of vibe and tagline for players here is, like rise up and be the God Slayer. We're basically going on a vengeance filled journey of rebellion, resistance, and maybe salvation. We'll have to see obviously how the story progresses, but that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting. Referencing back to the knowledge of elemental power or life energy or Qi, as they are calling it, this is where we start to see some of the gameplay mechanics come into play. From what I can tell, the main DNA, if you will, of the combat system is the elemental life force space combat, where players will be able to harness these elements such as fire, water, earth, metal, wood, etc. So in the gameplay trailer here, we see, for example, him using fire and ice. There is also what looks like the ability to use these elemental powers around you and in the world by using them to interact with different objects. For example, in the trailer, we see the player use, I guess, like Jedi powers to knock over this water tower and flood the enemies below, knocking them down. Then he uses his ice ability to freeze them with the water and thus freezing the enemies in place. So I think we're going to see, hopefully, this kind of dance between the elements and the items around you, and hopefully see some pretty cool combinations and different satisfying options or tools at our disposal to take down the enemy. We've only seen some gameplay, so who knows what all the other abilities you can do. But I do hope they give us plenty to choose from and a large toolkit that we can customize our player with. It would be kind of lame if this was just kind of shallow and there was only a few attacks with each element, so we'll have to see. Maybe there's going to be some sort of skill tree or unlock system. We'll just have to wait and see. I think it'd be cool to like specialize in fire if I wanted to make like a fire character or maybe like a stealth ice character or something like that. And in talking about the combat even more, another thing I wanted to bring up is how freaking smooth the and cool the animations are looking so far. Like, man, this like some of the animations I'm seeing during the combat is just so crisp. When I saw this gameplay trailer, I immediately thought of the most recent Spider-Man games and their combat systems and how they looked and felt. It kind of just gives me that vibe. Like it's very thematic, very cinematic. It's very fluid and smooth and satisfying. Again, the animations here, from what I can see so far, are pretty top notch. You kind of get that vibe of like, even if you run across like a small group of maybe like four enemies or something like that on the street somewhere, the way the combat looks and feels just makes it even that much more fun and addicting to play. Like in Spider-Man, it was just fun to just swing around and just beat up like small groups of enemies. Like I was fine just doing that. I didn't even have to play the story. Now, again, I don't want to hype this up too much, but honestly, for a studio that has went from making cozy building games to this, like this is honestly pretty impressive. Not saying this game's going to be as good as Spider-Man. I'm just saying that the comparison's kind of there, at least to me personally. I think they're definitely going crazy here with the animations and the combat, so I'm excited to see how this progresses. And like again, don't get me wrong, there has been several games that look like they have a fun combat system, and when they actually come out, it's kind of a different story. They become boring and repetitive, and I just hope that's not the case here. And don't take my word. I mean, I'm no game developer. I'm simply a consumer and a rambler on the internet. But I do feel like these days that with all the advancements of technology and computing power, that it might be easy maybe to make your game look good in a trailer and look fluid, but we all know that when we actually get our hands on it and play, that could become a completely different story. All in all, I'm excited by what I've seen so far, and I'm curious to know if you are also. Is this something you're interested in? Does the fact that they are mainly like a cozy game developer give you any worries? This could release and become one of the best action RPGs we've played yet, or it could just be another game that comes out and I play halfway through and get bored of it. Time will tell. We'll have to wait until more information is released. But anyways, this is definitely one that I wanted to put on your radar solely based on how good it is looking so far. The Godslayer is confirmed to release on PlayStation 5, Xbox, and PC on Steam. The release date has yet to be announced, so we'll have to hang on for that. There are some early speculation I've seen floating around online that points to a possible 2027 release date. You can, of course, wish list this game on Steam right now. And again, I really do not hope that this is another case of a game that looks freaking awesome and beautiful, but continues to get plagued by delay after delay, as we've seen countless times. I really hope they don't fall into the trap of overhyping this game and leading us on year after year, as all that does, in my opinion, honestly, is just kill the excitement for the game and set expectations that are way too high that you can't possibly deliver on. I've said this in my last video, but I really do think that GTA 6 is sadly falling into this same kind of situation. For me, at least, I really think that they are going to have to really nail GTA 6 and just blow our minds when it releases, because there's so much hype and disappointment and mixed emotions about it already, and it's not even out yet. Anyways, that's pretty much it. Just wanted to bring this to your attention and talk about it for a short while. Let me know what you think, and if you want to see more gaming news and gaming centered content from me, let me know by liking the video and subscribing. It really does help push me along to continue doing this. Take it easy, and we'll see you in the next one.